There are those who would say that the story which follows could happen only in a dream. Regardless of where it could happen, this is the way it did happen. The story involves Bill Dudley, a mighty darn good wholesale bakery salesman, a character named Red, who actually is nothing more than a file clerk, and one named Whitey, who is similarly employed, so to speak. It all starts in this rather strange and out-of-this-world office, which keeps the sales records of every wholesale bakery salesman on Earth. Or so the story goes. Whitey is entrusted with the records of good salesmen. Red, the other kind. Now, it seems that Red and Whitey never see eye to eye on matters. Naturally, this leads to many arguments. Our story opens in the midst of one of them.
Must you beat on that confounded thing all the time?
I am not beating. I'm playing.
Well, whatever it is, it sounds awful.
You're just peeved because another breadfruit salesman has been transferred from your record to mine.
Bill Dudley! I'll get him back on my records again. He's my kind of a salesman, that boy. Down, down, down. Marvelous record.
But what about this? Which, of course, is the reason he's now in my ledger.
Strictly a temporary condition. Why, at the slightest excuse, he'll slip back into his old habit of taking life easy, the way a smart salesman should.
You're talking through your horns again.
Wouldn't want to make a little bet on that now, would you?
Like what?
Oh, say, a new set of asbestos points for my pitchfork against a new set of strings for that thing.
On the level?
Strictly on the level. Of course, if you're afraid, it might...
I don't frighten easily. Go on.
Well, now, suppose an attractive young lady were to ride the route with this Bill Dudley. Say she's a magazine writer and is after material for an article. Say she makes fun of the way he works. That's all it'd take to get him back into my way of selling again.
You think so, huh?
I'm willing to bet on it.
So I gather. But how could we up here fix it so that a magazine writer down there... Oh, no. No, not me.
Why not? The trip will do you good.
Of course, I haven't been down there in a long time. Even on business.
That's the way to talk. And perhaps, as a little added distraction from his work... yes. But perhaps something a little more... Or perhaps even...
Oh, no, don't you dare. No magic and no miracles. It's against the rules. If I go, I'll go like this.
How dull. All right. Is it a bet?
All right, it's a bet. I'll put this Bill Dudley to the test.
All right. Let me see if I got this whole thing straight now. You're a writer.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to do an article on modern food merchandising.
That's right.
And the boss said it was okay for you to write with me today.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's okay with me then, but I'd sure have a tough time making my wife believe this one.
Well, so would I.
Come on.
Well, that's how Whitey started out to prove her point. But Red was not far behind.
Hey, you're not down here just for the ride, you know. Start working on the guy. We got a bet on.
Say, you know, this seems to be an awfully dull job that you have.
Oh? What gave you that idea?
It wasn't my... well, after all, it is just a delivery man's job, isn't it?
Young lady, take it from me. Any guy who thinks this is just a delivery job belongs in a coal truck, not a bread booth. Young lady, you sit there. I'll be right back.
Well,
Well, I told him I thought he was a dope not to work it, to be the first one in every day.
good.
I told him I thought all this push on getting good displays, just a lot of front office talk.
Couldn't have phrased it better myself.
Why keep a close check on how your load's going, I said. You can always dump it on the last half dozen stops.
Excellent. And what did he say?
Nothing. That's the trouble. He just sat there listening and looking very thoughtful.
There, you see? What did I tell you? My bet's practically won.
Gee, you know, I would have sworn that nothing could make him slip back into his old selling ways.
Uh-oh.
Must be new on the force. Okay. You've talked. I've listened. Now it's my turn. I talk and you listen. First of all, take a look. A loaf of bread. And
Can hear me from back here. Maybe that's kind of not good. This is where we're at. I'm going to have a washing machine delivered, and I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to add a bunch of suggestions that I got to make it better.
important food, a healthy food, and a basic food that can be served in more than 100 different ways. And give a look. Not just one kind of bread, but a whole variety. And not only bread, but a whole variety of all types of baked goods.
Are you, by any chance, trying to say that you think this business of yours is important?
That's exactly the way I feel about it.
Uh-oh. There's something about that guy's tone of voice I don't like.
But just because we're important in the food picture doesn't mean a guy can sit back and take it easy on this job.
Why not?
Well, because folks have to go to stores to buy my stuff.
So?
So, in these stores, there can be as many as 3,000 different food items that are just itching to latch on a part of their food money, including a few other brands of baked goods. So, it's one great big scramble. Up and down the aisles the shopper goes, and what she'll buy, nobody knows. For sure, that is. But every food item tries to make the grade by looking so doggone good she just can't resist buying. Appetite appeal, we call it. And how do you get it?
That's just what I was going to ask you.
Well, one way is to let the shopper see the actual product. Yes, sir. You can write this down in your notebook. For making the best impression, nothing beats seeing the actual product. Now, one way to get it is with modern packaging. But that's not all. Now, for best appetite appeal, you also have to have good displays. Displays that sell. And believe me, top salesmen are using all the tricks in the book to get them. Tie-in displays with go-together food products. Meal suggestion displays, and a lot of others. So when you stop and think about it, this job of mine is anything but dull.
But still, doesn't it get monotonous doing the same routine things every day?
Every day is different on this job. Every store is different, depending on what bullseye I'm working on.
Bullseye?
Sure. You know, a while back I decided this could be a better paying job if the guy used his noggin. That's when I set up 3 bullseyes. Here they are. Grocer goodwill, plus volume, and selling displays. The things I'm aiming for in every store on my route. Anytime you can do something to make yourself better liked in a store, or up the volume in a store by even 1 loaf of bread, or get a new display idea, can mean more dough. I'm just crazy enough to like the feel of more money. That's why I keep aiming for those bullseyes. Well, I better wind up Nellie and get going.
Huh. It's jerks like that that end up as supervisors.
You know, when I first started on the route, I acted like it was nothing more than a delivery job. Take this grocer goodwill business. Know how I used to go after that? Why, I used to go into stores and slam doors and...
Hiya, Duffy, old boy. How's the old miser today? Counting your gold again, huh?
Sorry, Duff. No harm done, huh? See you again, Duff.
It must have been awful.
Well, maybe it wasn't quite that bad. Anyway, today I go after a grocer's goodwill a little different. I'll show you. Morning, Mr. Marco.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm a feel lousy.
No, I'm sorry to hear that. Hey, something new. Say, these are pretty slick.
You noticed that, eh?
Sure did. Yeah, I bet your customers will go for them, too.
This is high cow country. This is summer grazing country, some of the best in the West. This is the country of big beef herds and vast ranches. It is the native ground of the cattle industry. When winter snows retreat to the peaks and streams run bank full, there's new life in the cattle business. The warming rays of the spring sun are a portent of a delightful summer on the range. It's like a pleasant dream for this white-faced, ruddy-coated youngster. And every calf has its own mobile lunch stand never far away. The trick is to get it. While certain breeds of cattle predominate in this country, any desirable beef-type animals that fit the environment find their place in the cattle industry. Cattle which have enjoyed the brisk summer in the high-range country now have the hardihood to withstand the crackling cold of winter. Winter or summer, the cattleman never relaxes his vigilance. Every season of the year brings special chores, and a little extra care now may bring extra dividends later on. When spring brings its welcome green grass, lush from the moisture of winter snows, another cycle of growth begins, for grass is basic cattle feed. The animals harvest it themselves and convert the nutrients and vitamins into generous frames as they grow, frames that will carry the forthcoming load of meat. Living proof of the value of good breeding is this fine youngster. She owes her heritage of excellence to approved sire.
Quick sidetrack. I went to my friend Mary's house, and they said that they are not having fun taking care of these plants right now, so and my house needs some plants. It has some. I could use more. Ooh, it's dark. So, and now we're back. That is what I did. Now I am back with, I keep forgetting his name, Obelisk the Tormentor. He looks like he's smiling now, though. He looks his expression has changed as I've done more to him.
Whose ability to transmit his quality to his offspring is established. Much of the responsibility for herd quality rests on the range bull. He contributes importantly to the production of superior offspring, of profit-making capabilities. On more than 3.5 million farms and ranches, ranging from a few acres to many thousands, the spirit of the Old West comes alive. The cowboy and his horse once more live the busy pattern of cattle care that early summer brings. Each animal is a valuable unit that merits comparable care and receives individual attention through the trained eyes of the cattleman. Spraying is an annual chore that prevents harassment of the cattle by insect pests and parasites. The sprayer is usually a mobile type that can be taken to any place on the ranch. Dipping the animals accomplishes the same purpose as spraying. Inoculation prevents diseases that at one time seriously crippled cattle profits. The old branding iron is still with us, but a newfangled heater has replaced the old campfire. There is no doubt now that this young fellow in the squeeze chute belongs to the K-Bar-K. And now this young stuff is headed for the high range country, where they will spend the summer just growing. In the fall of the year, when the eager fingers of the early frosts paint the aspens in the high country in vivid colors, it's roundup time. Each canyon and draw, each willow-fringed creek bottom gives up its complement of bovine residents. Spindly-legged calves no longer, they are much larger, deep in body and well-fleshed from an undisturbed summer on range grasses. Almost suggesting a ghostly symbol of the herds of the old Chisholm Trail, an ever-growing stream of cattle are headed in a single direction, to market. The whole vast West becomes one big dusty roundup. quality begins on the ranch. Superior cattle and careful scientific handling combine to make today's beef animal a unit of measured value of real proportions. Where the cattle drive of the Old West saw almost half of the value of the herd vanish during the long trek, today's short drive to a nearby railhead results in little or no shrinkage. Ready to move at dawn, the herd is fed and rested in a holding pasture for the night. When the first crimson rays of the rising sun tint the eastern sky, men, horses, and cattle are on the move. Destination, the railroad. In the half-light of early dawn, a frosty tang is in the air, and the grass crackles underfoot as the herd moves on. The air is filled with the shouts of the cowhands and the muted lowing of steaming cattle. In any trailing of cattle, the welfare of the animals comes first. Rather than driving cattle on a helter-skelter basis, most cattlemen prefer to lead the herd, and once on the move, the animals remain docile and tractable. To those familiar with it, a feeling of ritual accompanies the movement of the cattle, a ritualistic surge back to the old days when a cattle drive was not just a commercial enterprise, but was a moving page of Western history, written in the dust stirred by thousands of hoofs. Arrival at the railroad stockyards is the signal for activity of a different nature. In this case, where the cattle are sold to a buyer at the shipping pens, they must be recounted and weighed to determine the total due the rancher. Gentle handling to avoid bruising and damage is still the order of the day, as the cattle are directed through the pens and loading chutes into the waiting stock cars. It takes real know-how, too, for the railroad to have the necessary cars on hand at the right place at the right time. Cattle shipments can't wait. On the Great Plains, the promise of approaching winter spurs this cattle loading operation. Here, the entire herd will be loaded at one time and transported to market as a single expedited shipment.